To give a quick summary of Robert Jordan's 8th book, The Wheel Time, The Path of Daggers. Mat disappears. Perrin does nothing. Egwene becomes Amaryllis seat. The girls fix the weather. Rand and the boys go crazy. I'd just like to say, like and subscribe if you enjoy these rambling reviews that I've just thrown together. The Path of Daggers is the 8th book in Robert Jordan's Wheel of Time series. And it is also, I think, the shortest book so far. At the beginning of the slog or the middle of the slog, depending on who you ask, this book flows quite weirdly. I have to say, it feels like nothing is happening and everything is happening at the same time. There are quite a few monumentous events in this book, but the way they're written doesn't really give credence to the effect that they have, and I suppose they will have further on in the series. For example, towards the end of the book, when Rand takes an army and Calendor to drive the Sea Chain back, all of those chapters are written in a way that does not make you feel like this is that big of a deal or as important as it should be presented, and I was not a big fan of that. Besides that, there's smaller plot points like the Black Aha in the White Tower, and Fail now being captured because Perrin does nothing. This book had a very weird pace to it, where it had monumentous events going on, but it did not feel like it. That's the biggest problem I had, is the credence to events that should have been a bigger deal was not given. For example, something I was extremely disappointed in was the way that Egwene took over and became a stronger version of the Amaryllis seat than she was previously, as pretty much a puppet figurehead. It did not feel like the powerful takeover it should have. Instead, it felt more like, haha, I tricked you with the rules, now you have to listen to me. Instead of, I am the power in this organization and you will listen to me. And I felt like that definitely could have been done better and given more credence to how she has evolved as a person coming from Eamon's Field to now being the most powerful woman in the world. Along those same lines, Rand's attack on the Sea Chan throughout the mountains was kind of boring, to say the least. Even when Rand used Calendor, the moment didn't have the weight it should have, especially when he started killing his own men and Bashir had to knock him upside the head. I just didn't get the emotional resonance that I thought I would from something like that, and I was pretty disappointed in that. Another problem that I had with the writing was the way that the Aes Sedai were kind of portrayed and degraded on the Elaine and Nynaeve side of the story. I get it when it's around Rand and the Wise Ones and like what's happened there. That makes sense, and I think that's well written. But seeing these like normal-ish people in the kin and just regular people like viewing Aes Sedai differently, I think if they've been a force in the world for so long already, they shouldn't just lose that because a few people get stuck up. And I just didn't think that was very well put together, and the display of them looking like bumbling fools to like the kinswoman or the Athan Mir, I just didn't really like that. But I did enjoy the way that they were portrayed in the Rand side of the story with the Wise Ones. I thought that was very well done. For reasons unknown, Mat was just left out of this book. I really hope that in the next book or the book after that, they explore him in Ibudar. I think him undercover would be really cool to read through, and I think that'd be very enjoyable. I was excited for Perrin at the beginning of the book. I was like, he's finally getting to do something after so long. Like the last interesting thing he did was in book 4, and then he rode like 10 miles, saved Morghese, and then met with Massima, and that was it. And I'm hoping now that Fail's captured, he gets to go on another rampage like he did against the Trollocs. It's just been too long without any exciting Perrin chapters, and I think that just like it's time to unleash that side of him again to make things a bit more interesting in that aspect. Speaking of Fail, I thought the Fail Berlain thing was done a bit better in this book than previous books. Now that she's captured with the Shadow, I hope she has an interesting plot point herself instead of just being attached to Perrin this whole time. And I hope Berlane gets a new dynamic now that there is no Fael to combat against when around Perrin. I've been pretty disappointed in the Morghese plotline so far. It just feels like she just keeps on getting beaten down and beaten down and beaten down over and over again, and there's been no small victories to her re-rise back to power as I thought it would be. Like, especially in the earlier books when she like left Andor after breaking the mind control or the persuasion, and then she just proceeded to go lower and lower and lower and didn't really, or hasn't really made any recovery towards her position of power. And I'm hoping that starts, even though now she's also captured with the Shadow. I just feel like that as she was presented to be such a powerful and influential woman, now she's just kind of like been thrown to the side and just used as a, oh, feel bad, she's getting it worse and worse and worse. Something I was excited about with the Ashaman, this book, as I said in my last review, was that they are combating against Rand, because he has, I said, it was like he hasn't really taken a hand in their training, and it's been more Mazrim Taim. And I have a suspicion that those rogues at the end of the book were more of a part of Mazrim Taim, and maybe Logain. Now Logain's with the Black Tower, and now he's bonding to Aes Sedai. Like, that sounds insane, and I'm really excited to see more of that. I think he's gonna be great. His 10 pages that he had, not even, read really well and were very engaging in what happened. But the Ashmahan betraying Rand at the end of the book was very cool to see, and I thought, like the Calendor things, it wasn't written in the most like impactful way, but it does make me excited for future events. And then when he had to put down his like one and only friend Ashmahan that was taking care of Min because he'd gone insane, I was just sad. And then like it really brought back the point of where Cadsuane and Sorelia of the Wise Ones were discussing. It was like, oh, he's trying to be hard and be strong, and now that is just another point of him losing a bit more of his humanity, because he has to put on this facade of, not even facade, just like he has to be strong and hard and can't let the feelings get to him, even though this man saved his life. And now he just snapped, and just it was pretty sad, and I think that was a great way to end the book on. Besides that, just small little bits, like I really enjoyed Gareth Brine. I think that he is a stoic figure that just works very well to balance out Egwene's newness to the Amyrlin Sea position. He just seems like he knows how to roll with punches, and it seems like he's gone through everything before. And him and Siuan, I would like to see more interactions besides just like the third person view of that, to make it a bit more depth filled than it is. The plot point of the Black Aha and the Rebel Aes Sedai in the White Tower has been kind of slow, and especially with like Eladia now not being the terrifying figure she was in earlier books, I think that will definitely need to be spiced up a bit now that Egwene is outside of the White Tower. I think that the conflict needs to be ramped up, and in this book it just felt like they're going through the steps, like plotting along to get to a necessary point that Jordan wants to write. And I just like wasn't very engaged with that part of the book. Especially, I'm not a big fan of Eladia being no longer the powerful figure that she was. And then also there's the one Forsaken in the tower that you don't know who she is, but there is that one hint of somebody recognizing the robe that another person had seen in a chapter, so you know about it, but they don't. And then when they finally catch one of the Black Aha, they just cut to it, and I'm hoping in the next book that they will expand upon that more and make it a bit more interesting than it has been. I've been kind of disappointed in that ever since like Tenchicho. The Black Aha have just not been dangerous, not been entertaining. Like once you got Moghedien or whatever, it was kind of like they just became bad. And then there was like one of the Black Aha was now enslaved, or not, she was a different position for the Sea Chain. I don't know how that's going to exactly work, but they just don't feel like a threat, and I don't think that's very good. Overall, not that bad. I'm still fine with the slog so far, especially with it only being like 570 pages. Got through it quick, and I hope you guys enjoyed.